Good morning. It is Carrie here at the Colorado Tulips Backyard Garden, Zone 5B, and it is June 6th, 2022, and we have some additional plants I thought I'd give you a little update on. I'll give myself a little update because I don't expect anyone else to be watching this. So we've got a Powys Castle wormwood there on the bottom. I was thinking to put it in the front garden, but so far it's still being staged right here. I bought 3 celosia plants. The red one is back here. It came as a mix of red, yellow, and orange, one of each, right about this size. It is coming out of the soil. I would say it's about 8 or 9 inches right now. It's got the gladiolus behind it. Here we have some of my little pea plants peeking around. They haven't moved very much, but then again, they are mostly in the shade here, as well as these little guys, along with some violas. So these are the planters that had been moved twice into the garage because of below 40-degree weather 2 weeks ago, and then again today's Monday, so it wasn't this past weekend, but the weekend before that as well. And the supertunias, this is so first they started to get a little bit of the brown on the edges. I think I just wasn't watering them enough while they were in the garage, but not knowing what day they were coming out, I decided to take that risk and give them less water so that they would be less heavy to be moving in and out through the house into the garage, through the house back here onto the deck. So these are the trailing silverberry. From the 4 trailing silverberry plants that are here in the front, this one here actually gets the most sunlight. This one, as well as this one here. So far, you've counted them: 1, 2, 3, and 1 new bud coming there. But yeah, all their buds dried up and fell off. These salvia are doing okay. Very fun. These are called at night gladiolus that are coming up, and I am hoping that maybe 1 of these or 2 of these might be a crocosmia, but I'm beginning to think that these are indeed gladiolus. So we shall see. Let's see, more of the gladiolus. Okay, now here you truly can see the difference with this supertunia in the Vista bubblegum, the bright pink. So we counted, and 4 plants over there after their travels and getting the same treatment. These are bigger, more wider spread, and they've got, each one of these has 10 blooms on it, either coming or already here. And then here you can see my ranunculus that has somehow survived. I'd taken them out of soil where I was accidentally rotting some of them. I had 30, and there it looks like maybe 4 or 5 of them are actually coming up here just with the cool outside. It is getting warmer during the days. I think it's going to be in the 70s going forward, so we'll see. But truly, the robustness of these Vista bubblegums are, bloom-wise, just vigorousness. There is a striking difference. These ones here, the flowers are smaller to start with, but the reason I bought them was I thought the flower was very pretty, and 2, they're supposed to be even more trailing, and I was looking for trailing, but I thought, the Supertunia Vista bubblegums are known not only for they certainly will trail, but just they're so massive that it was going to be fun to give them a try. So I keep pointing out the same tulips over and over again, the carousels, a late season substitution from Longfield Gardens that I wasn't terribly excited about. And then when they came in, and they were just a beautiful vanilla ivory yellowish color with a little bit of pink, I loved them. And now that the weather is warming up and they're actually getting additional sun, you really can see that this one here, I would venture to say, is I would say at this point it's white. Maybe white, maybe a creamy white. You can see kind of a little bit there. But yeah, and the fringe and the height. I mean, this sucker is, it's big, and we're 12 inches off the ground, so the bulb is underneath there. That's every inch of, like, that's a 30-inch stem on that. These allium, also so much fun. I'm gonna get more and put them in next year. Interestingly, you know, the allium came up later than most of the tulips. It is true that the foliage does start to die back, and these are now in full bloom and have been for a bit, and that those allium leaves do start to yellow out. My neighbor was kind enough to give me 4 tomato plants, 2 of them in each pot that she had given to me, and then I planted them here. I think they're a bit close for comfort, but frankly, my history of growing tomatoes means that they're probably not going to live or live well, so we'll see. Here's 2 more, also planted right next together. I put them in the ground even further. We've got some additional things coming out. This is either a sunflower or a morning glory. I'm pretty sure. I don't know for sure. This is a little pea plant. I think this one is maybe, I think if I'm lucky, these are the morning glory plants. They're supposed to get up to like 10 feet long. I figured I would just get things going. I do not know whether these are weeds growing in the middle there, or whether they are columbine. I'm gonna have to look. They don't look like columbine, and I don't think I sowed anything else in here, but we'll see. Look at this, I still got buds coming out. Like, how great is that? And then I put more, I threw some soil from one of my pots in here. It did have tulips originally, so, you know, and other bulbs, but I just need to fill this up more. And then I planted a bunch more seeds that I had literally just bought as straight seeds from the Walmart and the Lowe's. In here there's some basil in there. I popped in a couple of sunflowers in the very back, because that whatever's in the very back is never going to shade this out because of the direction that the sun comes. So if I put in anything sunflowers or very, very tall, it would go in the back. I also threw in some cosmos, and let's see, what, ruby eclipse sunflowers. I have a couple of dwarf teddy bear sunflowers that as soon as I'd have to wait until these alliums are done and then build up the soil a little bit more, and then I'll pop in some additional seeds. I popped a couple of zinnias in there without knowing what any seeds look like, as they're seedlings, and sometimes it can be a bit ambiguous as you're looking on the internet, so I may just have to leave some of them in there. So those are my original pink tulips from several years ago. Every time they have done great. It may be because this, you know, I didn't amend that very much. That's actually the hole which this tree was originally in. And then, I don't know if you can see the shadow of it behind there, but my landscaper had planted it straight on top of the power lines. So it's 10 feet away at this point, but at least it's not straight on top. The lilac bush is working. The lilac bush is absolutely doing beautifully. I actually cut the flower here that I think it just maybe didn't get enough water or what have you. That I just deadheaded today. That was a carousel tulip. And then here's another one of the carousels. They're just awesome. The Lady Janes are just about done. I mean, there's a little bit of pink that you can see occasionally, but those aren't, they're not blooming anymore. They're just hanging on. Like, they're just waiting for it to fall. And then here, look at this. I think these have developed with seeds. Some of them, interesting, you can see that like this one here really has not so much. These ones here, right there, that really does appear to possibly have seeds in it. I'm letting the Lady Janes go to seed. And my plan is to get some Persian pearls. That's another kind of species tulip, and add those in here. But yeah, there's the lilacs. so nice. And the sub-freezing weather in the last month did not kill them. I think for the most part, I mean, it was in the mid 30s. I think it only, it got a little snow and frost only once or twice. And the blooms are all on the side of the plant, nothing on the top, which may indicate that something froze out. Look at that. I may have to go in here and just take out some of the dead stuff. But yeah, that's maybe from last year of a bloom stalk, but yeah, it's looking great. And it smells beautiful. I love it. Here's the muscari latifolium. It's interesting on this here, you can kind of see that it looks like of all of the flowers, one of them was pollinated to the point of having a seed pod waiting. And then as I opened up one of the seed pods from the front yard, just to see what it looked like inside as it dried, it looked like it had maybe three little black seeds that were the size of, say, a small peppercorn. All right, thrilled this morning to see that of these 3 bushes, so these 2 are from the Tchaikovskys, my good friends. They're awesome. They gave me these 2 little rose bushes last year in a Snoopy container after I was their daughter's sponsor for her confirmation. Look at this. Here, I just noticed this. All right, so there's 1 bud on this one. I think these are maybe knockouts. And then I've already harvested 1 little bud here, and there's at least 3. Oh, and here's the 4th one here. So I was always under the impression that this soil was just way too wet and damp, but it's doing well. Okay, I popped a Supertunia Vista here into the ground. This spot was empty. I've amended it many times. I've actually tilled it in. And so if these plants actually do get 3 feet wide, it's got a nice radius around it to take over and live this summer. So hopefully it works. It's got some of these little trailers here are up to about 12 inches long right now, and right now there looks like about 6 little stems, 6 branchings. This is, I think, a lupine, otherwise known as a beard tongue, that I got on clearance last year, and popped in the ground, and it had like a tall spiky red flower, and then it died back, and it said it was perennial, so I left it in the ground. These here as well, the phlox are coming up. So phlox, that little guy behind the phlox, it's kind of a purplish phlox, but that little one kind of behind that, right over there, I wonder if that's a lily coming up, because I had just thrown a couple of scales around. I also have got, let's see, all right, this is one of the phloxes too. It has not done anything, but over here, maybe that might have been a snapdragon. This one is, like, they're pushing something. There's a couple of weeds. I popped in a new snapdragon that I got just from the garden center. That's a snapdragon, a yellow one from last year. We're just gonna see what comes up and see if I can distinguish weeds from what's coming up. These are some salvias. A couple of them were white. A couple of them were more of the purple color. That's gonna be exciting to see. This bush is doing well. Let's see, I've also been planning where to put the additional tulips that I'm planting this fall. So far, between tulips and narcissus and alliums, so far I have over 400 coming for the fall. And you can see there's some spots, but I've got to try to figure out how do I mark these off so that when I plant in the fall, I'm putting them in places that aren't already populated. So I think I might get pipe cleaners or something, like just to see what I can do to mark out these places, fill in some gaps. And then the front yard especially, I'm gonna yank out some of the double tulips that I really ended up hating, frankly. All right, there's yet another carousel. Look at this. It's been up for at least 3 weeks now. I mean, and it's gorgeous. The variation in them You know, you can see the featheriness. Some of them are even more heavily fringed. This one is still, like, it's still opening. Like, it's just so pretty. Wow, look at that. A hydrangea from like 2, 3 years ago. That's actually coming up. Oh yeah, these are lantana. That's what those are. So yesterday I picked up a couple of lantana at the store, and I popped one in here. Most of them are in the front bed, but I figured when all of these little tulips go away, I have amended the soil quite a bit, so maybe a lantana would enjoy itself there. This is a reddish colored rose bush. Again, more lush than anything in the last few years, probably because of my watering. It's not that I was trying not to water the backyard, although I frankly wasn't very interested in it until recently, but I just thought that it had plenty because this soil is so yucky and clay by nature. Like, so you can see all these little buds coming up, and it gets a lot of runoff, and it gets so soggy that we've in fact had frogs back here. We had many frogs last year. This guy doing well. These junipers doing sucky. There's another carousel tulip. Yeah, just wow. The black lace elderberry, you know, and I just assume everything's dying because it's getting too much water. Look at this, so much water, in fact, that we're growing mushrooms. Great. Not my favorite. Snapdragons that overwintered from last year are coming up. There's a hydrangea from like several years ago coming up. Yeah, there's seriously, we've got, when you've got mushrooms, and I wouldn't normally pick these up with my hands actually, because I don't know what they are exactly. So I will dispose of those quickly. Here we go. More of the muscari that are going to seed. Some lilies coming up in between from some scales that I just threw down. And I've tossed a couple of little random flower seeds that I've bought into that container, because I think that might end up just being more of a star than I ever thought or hoped. All right, well, here we go. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day.